Christmas decorations. It's mid-February and your neighbor's house is still twinkling like Christmas Eve. That festive glow might cost them a hard $250 penalty in San Diego. Yes, you heard that right. If residents don't pack up their holiday cheer by February 2nd, the city fines them. While it seems like a weird law, officials argue it's about more than being a buzzkill, it's about safety first. They say stringed holiday lights become fire hazards after prolonged exposure to the elements, since most of these decorations are only made to withstand 90 days of exposure. But that's not all. San Diego authorities are also keen to combat light pollution. They believe that too much Christmas lighting can often hinder the sight of the driver and cause road accidents. So when February rolls around, it's time to say goodbye to your glowing reindeer, or you're at risk of paying a hefty price for your festive spirit. However, San Diego residents are not alone in this weird penalty. Many communities, such as the Inspirada community and the Summerlin South community, have strict regulations on Christmas decorations, mainly to maintain a unified appearance throughout the year and prevent potential hazards. But again, who knew keeping the holiday vibe alive could light up your wallet too? Off-limit playgrounds. In Wichita, Kansas, if you are 14 or older, you would better think twice before climbing that slide or swinging on the monkey bars. According to local law enforced in 1998, playgrounds designed for children are strictly off limits to anyone over 14, with the exception of parents and guardians playing alongside their kids. So, if you're a teenager or an adult itching to relive your childhood, Wichita is not the place for your playground nostalgia. Violators may be required to appear in municipal court to address the citation, where a judge can decide on the fine, community service, or other penalties. The law aims to ensure that playgrounds remain a safe space for children and aren't monopolized by older kids or adults who might cause accidents or damage equipment. Because, let's be real, a 30-year-old trying to squeeze into a swing set meant for toddlers might make for a hilarious TikTok, but it's not exactly what the playground designers had in mind. While the law may seem a bit harsh to those still young at heart, it keeps playgrounds free and accessible for the little ones. So consider taking your nostalgia trip elsewhere the next time you're in Wichita. New Jersey Bulletproof crime. In New Jersey, if you're caught committing a crime while wearing a vest, you will be charged with an additional crime. Yes, you heard that right. Since 1983, the state law states that if you are caught committing a crime, you are not only busted for the crime itself, but will also be slapped with an additional civil penalty of up to $500 for a first offense, and up to $1,000 if it's the second time you're getting caught wearing a vest as a criminal. The law aims to discourage criminals from arming themselves with body armor, which can make recognition by law enforcement more risky and difficult. It's based on the idea that if you are planning to commit a crime and wearing a bulletproof vest, you are expecting trouble and likely ready to confront it head-on. New Jersey takes this behavior very seriously, and thus this bizarre law is their way of saying, come as you are, or don't come at all. So, if you're dreaming of a life of crime in the Garden State, think twice before dressing as part of an action hero. Better leave that vest at home, or just don't get caught. Bingo and booze. In North Carolina, bingo is a serious business. According to the 2005 update in the North Carolina General Statutes, it's illegal to play or run a game of bingo while under the influence of alcohol or any impairing substance. Yes, that's right, no tipsy bingo nights allowed. But why? The aim is to promote responsible gaming and keep the fun safe and fair for everyone. Think about it. Impaired judgment and erratic behavior could lead to many bingo blunders. One might shout bingo accidentally without losing a card, or knock over a table of daubers simply because they had a little too much to drink. And the next thing you know, you have to restart a smooth-sailing game. This law also helps prevent accidents and disruptions that might distract others too. The penalties for violating this law can include a fine of up to $1,000. The penalties vary based on how intoxicated you are and if it's a repeat offense. But North Carolina isn't messing around, so you better stay clear-headed if you want to stay in the game. Does this kill the buzz of a good time? Maybe, but if it keeps the bingo hall calm and collected, perhaps it's a win. Sneezing in public. Do you think sneezing in public is just a nuisance? Not in Washington. As of July 1st, 2010, exposing others to a contagious disease is a misdemeanor, even something as harmless sounding as the common cold. If you're out and about intentionally spreading your and your pet's germs in a public space, you could find yourself in hot water with the law. And don't think you can get away with it unnoticed, because if you knowingly expose someone to your sniffles without their knowledge, that's another strike against you. The aim of this peculiar law is pretty clear. keep public health in check by holding sneezers and coughers accountable. Washington had been on something long before the rest of us caught up. Pandemic preparation? Check. But really, being charged for spreading a cold? That may seem extreme. After all, isn't a stuffy nose and watery eyes punishment enough? So, next time you feel a tickle in your throat in the evergreen state, you might want to grab some tissues or maybe a lawyer. No flying bouquets. Feeling moved by a speech in Kentucky? Hold that bouquet. While you might think tossing flowers at a public speaker is a charming gesture, Kentucky law sees it differently. Throwing flowers, even a single rose, is a step too far and could land you in hot water. Under this weird law, you can't be jailed for it, but you can be arrested for disturbing the peace. The law is clear. You can clap, shout, or stand on your chair if you're inspired, but don't let your enthusiasm turn floral. And it's not just flowers that are off limits. Tomatoes, rotten eggs, or any other airborne objects are also a big no-no. Even if the speaker's jokes are terrible, Kentucky insists you keep your produce to yourself. This law is all about maintaining order and respect during public speaking events, ensuring the atmosphere stays civil even when passions run high. So whether you're thrilled or bored to tears, remember that in Kentucky, you should save your flowers for another day. No mispronunciation. In Arkansas, pronunciation is no laughing matter. In 1881, confusion over how to say the state's name reached such a fever pitch that the General Assembly passed a resolution settling the matter once and for all. The correct way, they decided, is Arkansas, with 3 syllables, a silent final S, and accents on the first and last syllables. Mispronouncing it as Arkansas was labeled an innovation to be discouraged. While there are no fines or punishments for saying it wrong, you might still earn a few stern glances or an eye roll from the locals. It's all rooted in the state's history, dating back to early French explorers and the Quapaw tribe, whose name was adapted to Arkansas. So, if you find yourself in this southern state, always remember, it's Arkansas. The Pickles Law. Connecticut's law about pickles is a real head-scratcher. They must bounce. This unusual regulation stems from a 1948 incident where 2 pickle packers, Sidney Sparrow and Moses Dexler, tried to sell pickles that were really, quite literally, rotten. To respond to such deceptive practices, the Food and Drug Commissioner declared that a genuine pickle must bounce when dropped from a height of 1 foot. If it failed this test, it was considered unfit for human consumption. Unfortunately, the pickles in question did not make the cut. Sparrow and Dexler were fined $500, the maximum penalty at the time, and their non-bouncy pickles were prominently destroyed. While the law may sound bizarre, it was a creative way to enforce food safety standards. The idea is that a fresh, firm pickle has enough snap to bounce, while a soggy, spoiled one will merely splat. Though the regulation isn't strictly enforced today, it remains a fun reminder of Connecticut's seriousness about its pickles. So, if you're selling pickles in Connecticut, remember, no bounce, no sale. The Fried Chicken Law. In Gainesville, Georgia, fried chicken is more than just a meal, it's a way of life, and the city wants to keep it that way. In 1961, a law was added to the city code that makes eating fried chicken with anything other than your fingers illegal. This quirky rule was originally crafted as a publicity stunt to solidify Gainesville's title as the poultry capital of the world, but it still technically stands today. The law mandates that to truly enjoy Gainesville's famous dish, you must do it the traditional way, with your hands. In 2009, a 91-year-old tourist was arrested by Gainesville police for eating fried chicken with a fork. Fortunately, it was all in good humor, the arrest was staged, and she was later pardoned by the mayor. While this law is hardly enforced, it reflects the deep-rooted pride of Georgia in its poultry heritage. So if you find yourself in this Georgia town, leave your utensils at the door and get ready to eat chicken the way the locals do. Finger-licking good and by the book. The Pizza Law. Thinking of surprising a friend in Louisiana with a pizza delivery? Think again. In the Bayou State, sending any unsolicited pizza or any other unwanted food delivery could land you in trouble, thanks to the Louisiana Revised Statute passed in 2016. This law, which aims to protect residents from prank deliveries, imposes a fine of up to $500 for each offense. While the intention might seem harmless, prank food orders can be a real headache for the recipient and a costly nuisance for the businesses. Imagine paying for dozens of pizzas you didn't order or dealing with a pile of melting ice cream left on your doorstep. It's no wonder Louisiana decided to crack down on these culinary capers with some serious penalties. But the law isn't just about pizza. Technically, any unwanted goods ordered in someone else's name without their consent could fall under this statute, so while sending an edible surprise might seem like a fun idea, you'd better think twice because in Louisiana, what starts as a harmless joke could leave you with a heavy bill. Feeling hungry yet? Make sure that pizza delivery is welcome, or it might be the most expensive slice you ever send.